From the east, house of light, may wisdom dawn in us, so we may see all things in clarity. From the north, house of night, may wisdom ripen in us, so we may know all from within. From the west, house of transformation, may wisdom be transformed into right action, so we may do what must be done. From the south, house of the eternal sun, may right action reap the harvest, so we may enjoy the fruits of planetary being. From above, house of heaven, where star people and ancestors gather, may their blessings come to us now. From below, house of earth, may the heartbeat of her crystal core bless us with harmonies to end all war. From the center, galactic source, which is everywhere at once, may everything be known as the light of mutual love. Ayun Hunab Ku Eva Maya E Ma Ho. Ayun Hunab Ku Eva Maya E Ma Ho. Ayun Hunab Ku Eva Maya E Ma Ho. All hail the harmony of mind and nature.
Welcome everyone to this edition of Vegetable Soup. I'm your host, Viata, and I have a very special guest tonight for Vegetable Soup for Women Night. And I always like to think about Wednesday night as the night to bring phenomenal women to actually enhance the book Vegetable Soup for Women. Let me see because this book really is full of some amazing stories about men and women coming together to nourish our body, mind, and finances. So welcome to Vegetable Soup Wednesday night, and we got a phenomenal woman, Dr. Imani Maat Kynes, I think, if I'm pronouncing it right. She's going to join us and talk about her book. But if you send I got lost for a minute. If you send a cash app for any amount, then I'll send you, I got to bring that back up for some reason that didn't want to show up. I will send you the Vegetable Soup for Women because it really is a divinely put together book. Ebook, in fact, we didn't print it, but it came together so quickly, and the people involved, I did not even know the people. We just put a call out. We need help, some women, and people sent in their stories. We edited it. We had AI do a cover for us, and here it is. So when you send a cash app for any amount, and here's my cash app via $, via the route, I'll send you this book in your email right away. So let me now welcome. Let's see. I got to get my other video that fell out. Some strange things happening here. Let me welcome my tiny house village to the show. This is a collection of video pictures that show my journey thus. And we're going to add.
The cook could put it in her. The cook could put in her. And her could was in this order. Could the cook request could or in her. The cook could put it in her. The cook could put in her. I look deep my dress with mad push loud. On the bed with mad the cool type of yow. The cook's a hopper, I can't pop or. Penenza put the cook on the.
I just love that music. I could just rock and roll all night. But we got a lot to talk about tonight because I read Dr. Imani's book the last 2 days, and I was so excited about her journey. And then up pops Carmela Anthony drama. The debate about this young man who's going to prison, at least for now. They might appeal it because all this new stuff coming out. But this story came out last year. I'm surprised they just got to trial. I followed this story every day last year. And now it seems like it's a whole different story. Like he got jumped by 4 guys and he got beat up and then he stabbed somebody and now they're saying it was murder. It's like, and not self-defense. So we're going to talk about that too. But I am so honored to have my guest because she has been in so many arenas to experience life and all its consequences and how to solve the problem. So let me just give you a little introduction. She's an integrative health and wellness practitioner with over 30 years of experience. She's a speaker and author, podcast co-host with her husband, energy frequency consultant. And so I am going to just bring her on and let her tell us more about her because she has such a rich history. And when we talked the first time, I was like, oh, this is my sister. She could even be one of my relatives. I got relatives that look like her. So welcome, Dr. Imani. I'm so grateful to have you with me tonight and to bring solutions from your journey that you have already resolved and solved so many problems. I mean, when I saw you work for the CDC, I'm like, that's a good experience to put behind you, I think. But there had to be a lot of lessons in that experience.
Lots.
Then, when you said you talked about DeKalb County, I wasn't sure if that was Florida or Illinois.
Georgia.
Georgia,
Atlanta.
You know how many DeKalb counties there are in America?
I know, lots and lots and lots of them. But first, I want to say thank you so much, Viata, for having me on your show. It's such an honor to be with you. The first time I was on, first time I watched your show, I was rocking to the music. I was like, wow, she has such great music. So you said that a minute ago. So that's a nice way to kind of get the juices flowing.
Yeah, I had one song that I played forever, and then all of a sudden they were sending me, YouTube was sending me copyright issues. I'm like, I've been playing this for like 3 years, and so I said I got to find another song. And Rock came on my show, and I played it. And I said, "Oh, can I use this?" He said, "Oh, sure." Done.
Good for you. That's great. That is great.
Yeah.
I used to play, and I had a blog talk radio show many years ago.
So did
I used to use one of the oldies but goodies like on every show. And at the time, I wasn't even thinking about that. And I'm glad that it was, never became an issue because it was such a perfect song. Wake up, everybody. Oops.
Oh, yeah.
It was such a good way to get me in the mood, for the shows.
Yeah, we love our blog talk. We miss our blog talk radio experience, but it had its problems in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So it was time to move on.
This is the next stage for us. So good for you.
It really is. We are evolving together, and we just need to get the truth out and help people raise their consciousness. That's that. I feel like that's our job, is help people raise their consciousness. And I must say, your book is so comprehensive to do that and more. And I love the way you bring in the holistic aspect of this topic to educate the incarcerated, mind, body, spirit. It has to be done that way. I had a guest on several years ago on Blog Talk. They wrote a book called We're All Doing Time. I don't know if you ever read that book.
I haven't, but I'm going to write it down.
We're All Doing Time, and it was written by this couple who did transcendental meditation in the prison system. They introduced it in the. You would probably love that book because you have grown from that experience that she writes about.
Mm-hmm.
You have put more together to help people than she, and she has a lot of letters in that book from prisoners like yourself, and poetry and all that. So I thought about her book when I was reading. We're all doing time, you know.
All doing time. One of the first poems is in my book is called "Doing Time." So I definitely, this might be a good place to read that. I don't know, but
absolutely.
Okay, let me share.
Absolutely. Let's start off with that poetic energy, because we all have that in us. There you go, educating the incarcerated. Is that on YouTube? I mean, on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. I have another place that I'm listing it on. I haven't finished uploading it to that other platform. But educating the incarcerated, facilitating opportunities for growth and understanding. And I thought that part was really important. So, you know, this project was done over a couple of years. And it got to the point where my students, I don't like calling them inmates, but my students would run to me and say, hey, put this one in the book. This is a good poem. I want this one to be in the book. So this is how I actually opened it up. And it was one of my favorite students, too. You see it? Oh, doing time. Doing time is like flying a kite. It's waiting on letters that nobody writes. It's waiting on pictures that nobody sends, from people out there that you thought were your friends. It's funny how time goes slow with prayers that are answered, and the answer is no. But I'll keep my pride with my head held high, and I'll keep my pride till the day I die. And soon, once again, I'll be free. So think twice, my friends, when you're needy like me. And I just thought that was such a good way to open this up. And I think, I know that working in a local county facility and actually interacting with the folks who are there, who are locked up, it gives you a different perspective of the people who are there. You know, I had one class of women. I worked with both women and men. And in this particular class, I don't even know how we started. A lot of times I would go in with a set kind of agenda, but sometimes it'd kind of be free form. And I really wanted to know who they were. And so I mentioned this in the book. You know, there was one woman who was a preschool teacher. You know, she liked working with the babies. There was another woman who was a singer. There was another person who was an accountant. You know, and they had professions just like the people who worked there. You know, so you know they were no different, except they had some issues. You know, which put them in touch with the wrong side of the law. But I learned to, I just kept pouring into them, and the other teachers, because I ended up I was offered the position to run all the education programs at the DeKalb County Sheriff's Office. So I had people who came in like me, and our overall theme was sort of liberating the minds of the people that were there so that they could make better choices, that they had more tools and more resources to call on when they had difficult, decisions to make. So we had such a great crew of people who, And they didn't volunteer. You know, we had a small budget, so they got paid a little stipend for coming in. But for the most part, they were really giving up their time to spend with this population.
And what a reward for them to share and write about, because when you have an inmate or a person in your life who's been through that prison system, it can be so life changing and give you such an understanding of a journey that is full of conflict from birth, maybe, or from childhood. I have a guy in prison right now who I've been in touch with for years. And I knew him when he was 5 years old. So you reading your story, in fact, I sent your book, I sent the title of your book to his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going to find out where she can order, because they have to be ordered from a certain location to get books into this facility in Wisconsin. I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a facility, a prison system in Wisconsin. You can't just send them a book to the prison.
Okay.
Has to be. So she's going to send him your book, because I said you got to send this to him. He's been back in twice with the word, what's the word, recidivism?
Recidivism. And that's one of the things that our program aimed to do, was to break that cycle of people going in and coming out, going in and coming back. I spoke to so many, and young guys too, you know, men and women, who told me, oh yeah, you know, this is my third time. And I'm like, let's make this the last time. Let's figure out what lessons you need to bring with you, so that you have a more productive life outside. And like you said, a lot of times there's circumstances beyond their control, or beyond things that they didn't create. Like there was a young guy, couldn't have been more than 19. I think that was the starting age at this particular facility. Such a nice young man. And when he told me his story, something had happened with his parents. And I don't know if they were in lockup or what, but he was left in charge of his younger siblings. And he was very concerned that if he went to the authorities, or if he went for help, that they would be split up and put into foster homes. And he didn't want that. So he, he started stealing food and doing whatever he could to feed his siblings. And, I just want to believe that after going through this program called Options for Living and Learning, that he had more tools to work with, could make better decisions, knew who he could talk to and get support from. So we, again, we're just trying to empower them to make better decisions. And we know that some people are locked up and they're not supposed to be there. There was one young lady who was in one of my classes, and it was such a good, that particular lesson. I don't even remember what it was about, but she said, I'm not supposed to be here because I didn't do anything. This is all wrong. She got caught up somehow, and she really hadn't done anything. But she said, I realized the reason I'm here is because I needed to hear what you just said. And I'm like, wow. When someone says something like that, it's just mind blowing. And she was gone like the next day. She really was not supposed to be there, but she was supposed to be there to hear that discussion and to hear whatever it was I said that that inspired her, to be a better person and to get back on her path. That's a term that I used a lot with them. Was, we're all born on purpose with gifts and with things that we're supposed to be contributing to this life. And some people never find out what that thing is. And others, you're like sitting in jail and you got time to think, and to meditate. I always started my classes with meditation, kind of like the woman you were mentioning, just so that they could think and clear their heads a little bit. And I had some, we always did a little evaluation of the class, and there were some who said that was their favorite part of every class we did, was the meditation, because it allowed them to get still and to think and to just relax and let spirit guide them.
Now, have you had family members or people along your journey who were incarcerated that influenced your work the book that you wrote?
No,
No?
personally I have not, but what I did was I worked at CDC, and I was also teaching at Morehouse School of Medicine, which I loved. I loved working with the students there. And in my spare time, I worked with a good friend of mine. We created a teen theater program called Yes for Health. And the goal of that was to create kind of peer educators in young people, and they could go out and perform with the right, correct information and valuable information for young people. There, we did a big play on diabetes, how you get it, how you don't get it, what the consequences are, what A1C means, and so that was a wonderful production. We did one on HIV and AIDS and the reasons for delaying sex, and so that was another piece we did. But I got not a little burned out, but I did get a little burned out because I had too many things going on, and I was spending my whole week working and weekends with the teen theater program. So I created a poetry workshop called Healthy Haiku. Haiku is an ancient form of Japanese poetry that uses 17 syllables on 3 lines, 5, 7, and 5 syllables, on those 3 lines. And so I found that haiku was an easy way to teach about health and wellness, because I also made it fun, made it creative, had role play involved, and the children always had a really good time and didn't even realize that they were learning through the process. So I started out working with children, and eventually, and I would do these workshops for schools and churches and youth programs. And I actually had an opportunity while I was at Morehouse School of Medicine to get a postdoc assignment where I got to evaluate the effectiveness of this strategy. So I just started doing the workshops everywhere. And the kids were brutally honest about what they liked, what they didn't like.
That's good. Feedback is important.
They didn't like PowerPoints because coming from CDC, we did PowerPoint presentations, bright colors and the words and the pictures, and I thought they would like that. And they're like, no, hated it. It's like, let's just get right into the poetry and the work.
Yeah, so hands-on, huh? They wanted hands-on, huh?
Hands-on. So I stopped doing PowerPoints. I'm trying to put some PowerPoints together. It's like, what do I do again? How do I do this, or do that? But so I started this workshop, and in addition to working with children, I had the opportunity to work with adults, because there I am teaching children about healthy eating, what's good for you, what's not so good, the consequences of eating too many foods that are not so good for us. And the women are, most of the families, the women are doing the shopping, they're doing the cooking, and, and so forth. Not to stereotype, but I had an opportunity to work with the Center for Black Women's Wellness here in Atlanta. And the women loved it, especially the role play and having fun and, and working in teams and all of that. So I realized, I said, I think I have something here that's useful, not just for the children, but also for the adults, and also for teachers and mentors and people who work with young people. So my first book is a book that's a guide for teachers and mentors. Let me show you. I have to read the title. Promoting Healthy Knowledge, Attitudes, and Behaviors Among Youth Using Haiku and Creative Expression. But it's a training manual to teach people how to do what I was doing. And it goes through different health issues, nutrition, HIV, self-esteem. So it's got a whole menu of health issues, violence. And I know you wanted to get into the violence piece. I had a nice picture of a young man, and the haiku is, when he pulled back his fist, he stared at the lifeless face of his best friend. And it's simple, it's short, but powerful enough to make you think about violence and what happens, and I don't know all the particulars about the case that everybody's talking about now. You probably know a little bit more than I do. You said you'd been following it, but it's so sad that, I mean, you've got two lives and many other lives that are impacted because of family and friends and community outrage and community outrage on the other side, and it's just really there's no there's no win-win in any of that. They're just,
And it has become a race issue again.
it has, and people are being pitted against each other because of the race issue. What if he had been white and the kid who was killed was black, and he would have been a lesser charge and manslaughter as opposed to murder, and yeah, it's just sad, and we people get caught up in that part of it, which is not to say it's not a real issue, because racism is a real issue in this country. But we get fueled with the passion, one way or another, as opposed to looking at how do we plant seeds in these young people so something like that doesn't happen again ever, because that's my goal, to give them the tools and the mindset to resolve things in a different way. So
Well, that's what I think our elementary school program has to focus on: conflict resolution.
yes,
If we can get if we can get children in third, fourth, fifth grade do role playing, for instance,
yes,
think about how much prevention work that is for
that
the
is
prevention prison.
yeah, that is true prevention. I had so many people who said, if you'd been my teacher in second or third grade, I wouldn't be here. No, you wouldn't, because you would have had some different skills and different ideas about what it means to respect each other, to love each other, to look past race, to look, and maybe I might too idealistic, but I don't think so. I think that's part of our charge is
Yeah,
to.
I was walking with my grandchildren this afternoon, and they're 9 and 11, soon to be 10 and 12. And I told them about this Carmela Anthony situation.
Mhm.
I didn't say anything about race or anything like that. And I just told them that a young man had an argument with another young man, and he pulled out a knife and stabbed him in the heart, and he killed him. And my grandson right away, and I was saying to them that he might go to prison for murder.
Yeah.
25 years. My grandson, he's so sharp. He said, well, he must have intended to do it. Why would you put a knife in your backpack? And I'm like, I didn't even tell him the whole story. He just
Right.
put it out right away. But he must have intended it. Why would you take a knife? But we're debating because he's black, that comes in more. And I didn't even tell them what color they were until we were in conversation. And they thought it was the opposite. They thought it was a white teenager who had
killed a black. Really? Mm.
I didn't say a word because they're mixed. Their mom's Colombian, and of course their dad is my son. He's African American.
That's interesting. My grandchildren are the same.
Really?
Their mom was mixed, Mexican and black, and my son is African American, Jamaican. So
they're not prejudiced or racist in any way, but they're starting to recognize, verbalize black and white. Because they're hearing it from adults, basically.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they're pretty much colorblind. Because we have kids of all races that they go to school with. Predominant. There are a lot of Brazilians in their school in Florida, so they have and there are a lot of mixed kids in their school. So their attitude about these things is not, well, because he's black, he was mistreated. They don't think like that in the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
My thing about this case was, how did a jury not have any black people on it?
Right. That's a question. That's definitely because a jury of your peers should reflect what you look like. At least.
So what were his what were his lawyers thinking? Were they really trying to defend him by letting a jury sit there with no one of his same race?
Yeah, yeah. There's so many questions about that case, and again, it has us kind of pitted against each other. Just it's just sad that again a life was lost. Another life is lost because he's going to be in jail unless they can figure out prison, unless they can figure out some way of making the charges lesser. I know that they're going to appeal and all of that.
Yeah, because the evidence is showing there were witnesses to him being beat up, saying he had bruises and everything. What I'm hearing lately is that something like 4 guys beat him up.
Yeah, I heard that.
I didn't hear that. Oh, that's shocking because I followed this all that when it first happened, when it was on social media. I was every day. I was like, "What's going on?" So, and what's going on? There were so many opinions about it. Attorneys, teachers, everyone.
Right.
Listening to all of it and commenting on my show. So to hear after the jury that there were 4 guys who beat him up, I'm like, where did they really hear that?
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Never heard anything like that at all. So they either hid that evidence really well and suppressed it.
Yeah.
Which happened. But here's the thing, and I want your thought on this. In a divine order of things, people need lessons in their life. If you have an all-white jury and your attorneys didn't fix that problem early, there's something about that in itself that says you were meant to have an important lesson in your life, and there was no intervention for you to prevent all-white jury from being there. It's like, how did that happen even?
Yeah. And you read the book, so you saw the part about the Ho'oponopono, which is
yes. I love that. I have that on by my bed because a friend of mine said you need to read that when you have any kind of issue. I said, okay, and I do. I use it a lot.
Okay, so Ho'oponopono is an ancient Hawaiian system of conflict resolution, and it's 4 words, but it's a lot deeper than that. But people know it as "I love you," "I'm sorry," "Please forgive me," and "Thank you." But there's a whole piece. Dr. Hugh Len he worked in a maximum security prison in Hawaii many years ago, and he's an ancestor now. But he and Dr. Joe Vitale wrote this book, Zero Limits, about his experience and about Ho'oponopono and what it really means. And I use some of his lessons, with my students. There was one woman, and I think she is the same one who loved working with the babies, the preschoolers. And she said after we did the lesson, she came back like the next day or the next time we had class, and she said, I have a good story to share about Ho'oponopono. And I asked her what it was, and she said, well, my daughter called me and we were speaking on the phone, and she had an attitude, and she started fussing and carrying on, and she wanted to have a fight, on the phone while her mom is in jail, right? And
wow.
The mother stopped and said, "I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and thank you." And there was silence for a minute, and the daughter, she finally said, "Did you just say you love me?" It was like out of all 4 statements, that's what she heard, because love is the highest vibration. Once you get to that point of love, all of the conflict and all of the problems just kind of wither away, And so the mother said it again. She said, "I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and thank you." And what do you think the daughter said?
Did she cry? I would think she would shed some tears.
I know, right? But she said, "I love you too." And that was it. The argument was gone. They probably forgot. She probably forgot what she was arguing about. And so, teaching that, and I love doing that because the detention officers, the inmates, the folks, who were there around the jail, they would see me, they'd say, "I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you," or "Please forgive me, and what's that last one?" And I would say, "Thank you." And it became kind of like a mantra for my particular class. because they realized, so we did a whole thing on forgiveness. Also, I forgive myself for different things, and I saw how hard it was for some people to forgive themselves and to forgive other people too. So I love that program, and that's the reason for writing about it and sharing the work from my students there, so that we can plant seeds with other local and county jail facilities, so that they have some tools to work with. And I included some things from some of my coworkers. There was one who she did the bowls, the big bowls. So she would do the sound bowls.
Yes.
Do like a sound meditation. And after she did a group piece, she would have them stand up, and behind, like from their head, she would do like a little bell going down. And when she did this, they would fall asleep standing straight up. And I would see the guys whispering to each other, I'm not going to go to sleep. It's not going to work on me. It's not going to happen. And as she's doing it, it's like, out. And we would all laugh about it, but it's like they needed that. They needed that experience. She had grown men just in tears because it just opened up something for them. So a lot of what myself and the other teachers focused on was helping them to raise their vibration, and understand what that truly means in terms of liberating yourself. It's really easy to start a fight when your vibration is really low.
Well, there's a woman, Caroline Chang, has a program called Awake to Oneness. Mm-hmm. She talks about all the time how we are all one, we're all the same, we're all one, we're all one, we're all one. So when you think about, the violence among our race, our communities especially, and the violence against other people, if we could really teach about the oneness factor, that might reduce the violence and the hatred and the ignorance, because not many people even think about how we are all one.
Right. The term namaste, a lot of people say that and don't really know what it means. It means the divine in me greets the divine and recognizes the divine in you.
Exactly.
So when you're operating from the point of love and seeing the divine in people who are there with you, across from you, you're not going to do anything. And this includes the folks who beat up this kid, who's now facing, this horrible existence for the next 35 years. I certainly hope that can change. But for everyone, and I mean, we can get deeper in terms of looking at the role of parasites in our systems and the bad food that we're eating and things that, parasites can impact choices that you make. I know you know that. You probably talked about it on your show, which connects the idea of mind, body, spirit. We really do have to be conscious of what we put in our bodies, because it can make us, do weird things.
Well, I have come to personalize the Ho'oponopono prayer, and I may not be saying that, because I've had issues in one part of my body, and I was learning how to speak to my body. So I take that prayer and talk about my leg, for instance. I had issues with my right leg for a long, long time. My ankle, around my ankle. Pain would just show up now and then. And I finally realized it was about my dad's divorcing my mother. It was an issue of sadness, rejection, feeling abandoned. And I found that out because I was at a health fair, and this guy did some work on me with about my issue. And he did this scanning with his hand. And after about maybe 5 or 10 minutes, he said, this goes back to something about your dad, somebody who on your right side. And I'm like, right away, I said, divorce. So I had to talk to the lady about, I love you and I appreciate you. And here's the thing, Dr. Imani, I had to take full responsibility for carrying that sadness and not taking responsibility for recognizing that it wasn't my dad, because my dad grew up in Jim Crow South with a mother who was drinking a lot and all this stuff that was going on in his life, no shoes, poverty,
Mm-hmm.
and then divorcing my mother because she became an alcoholic. And so it's like, I forgive you. I needed to forgive my dad,
Mm-hmm.
but I also needed to forgive myself for holding on to the feeling of resentment, the feeling of being abandoned, which affected my body.
Oh, it does.
Oh,
It
I
does.
don't think people think about that. It's not about just saying, "Daddy, I don't like what you did to mommy," and I've held this grief or sadness, but I have to take now as a conscious person responsibility for holding on to it now that I'm aware of it. It's
Right.
like I'm letting it go, letting it go, letting it go, and that's what healed that issue on my right
Mm-hmm.
side. And it will flare up when I feel that rejection from men, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
or my and I had three men in my household, two sons and a husband for so long, and
Mm-hmm.
that pain was in my hip. It was in my it was running. It would always be on my right side,
Mm-hmm. And
and
that's
so
just male side. Left side is female, right? Wow. And there was a um, doctor that I had studied with, Dr. Vincent, and he's an ancestor now, but he would talk about the fact that um, that like 87% of our physical challenges have a mental health root. It's something
oh,
mental going on. 13% is everything else, food, environment, and everything. But so much of what people are dealing with are mental things that some of them are carried over from childhood that were just never really resolved, never really addressed or talked about. That's one.
well, I'm sure you've seen Louise Hay's book.
Oh, yeah, I've studied that. You can heal your body.
This
Absolutely.
is like a Bible, and as she said, the mental causes for physical illness and the metaphysical root.
Hmm.
So I've used this, the metaphysical way to overcome. I've used this for so many years. They're over 30 years now with
Yeah.
clients that I've had, and I would read it to them. And let's say like constipation, refusing to release old ideas stuck in the past, sometimes stinginess, and they would go silent. It's like,
Hmm. Because
okay, maybe that's me.
it would ring true, you know. So absolutely, I loved that book, and I loved her and her work, you know,
Oh
and
yeah,
her
yeah,
gifts to the world. If
yeah.
everyone were to like really step into their power and share their gifts with the world, wouldn't this be a different place?
Oh my goodness.
It
And
would.
so that's why we didn't. You didn't talk much about your own background. Was there anything in your family life that motivated you to take the journey you have, CDC, and all the things you've done, and with the prison? Anything in your childhood that you can share
Well,
with us?
both of my parents were loving, giving, caring people. My dad worked his way up in the New York City Housing Authority from being like a maintenance man to being a district superintendent. And they're like sending limousines to pick him up, you know, for meetings. I mean, he really back then you could do that. You could start in one profession and kind of work your way up. Not too much happening like that now. My mom was a nurse and she cared for the elderly, and so I've always had there was just a lot of kind of altruism and kindness. You know, we had a house where that was where everybody got together for every holiday, every fun time. You know, they would all be at our house, and grew up in New Rochelle, New York, which was a nice place to grow up. I really
So
enjoyed.
northern New York, is that
It's right
northern?
outside the Bronx. I mean, it's
Oh,
literally right outside of New York City. So
okay,
it could almost be part of the metropolitan area. It's not.
right, okay.
People commute in into the city to work from there, and it's not a lot. It's like a 45-minute commute on the train. So I enjoyed that, and I remember from very very young, my mom planting seeds like if anybody can do it, or if anyone has done it, you can do it. And I took her seriously, and then I was also impacted by, I'm Black and I'm proud, and the Black Panthers, and folks really kind of standing up and stepping up to serving the community, which the Black Panthers did. People try to villainize them, but they started free lunch program. Exactly, for the children. They did a lot of good things. So, I just knew that whatever I did would have to be about serving and about helping people. So I'm and I love traveling. I've traveled around Africa and South America, Brazil, Central America, and just really enjoyed meeting people from different cultures. And I think having traveled, that helps to make you realize that we really are all one. We all really do bleed red blood, and have hearts, and have families, and have cultures and traditions, and things that are worthy of sharing and celebrating. So
I think one of the outlines or curriculum for teaching conflict resolution, anger management, and all the things in your book, Holistic, is to bring the children out of their neighborhood and put them in an unfamiliar, different neighborhood to learn about other cultures and let go of some of the ignorance that you might have. If you grow up in the same community all your life, and you're going to have strange reactions to people who don't look like you, or like, so part of what I see is we can get your program in more elementary schools to prevent the anger and the ignorance.
The ignorance.
Exactly. I've traveled a lot too. I married my husband because he worked for a major airline.
Wow.
And I met him.
Be told.
I could travel all over the world, and I did. I did that for almost 40 years. And then it's like he retired, and we had nothing else in common. Like,
oh, well.
But we did so much traveling, and that's what, and just to even going to China, just being in that environment for I think it was like 9 days. We were flying from one location to another, and being in Beijing for like 2 or 3 days, and just seeing the culture and the people. You're right. It just opens you up to love these people.
It does. It does. It does.
Nothing like what you see on TV and the movies. You're right there with them, and they're so friendly, and they love you, and they're just. I'm looking at right now Japan. The movie Michael just opened there, and boy, do they love that man. Boy, they having a big party for Michael right now in Japan.
I bet everyone is. I saw it, and I was there. I ran into a friend of mine, and Torhida. She's the one that connected us, right? And she was there with her grandchildren and her mate, and she said she had a friend. I think this was her that said this. She said, I have a friend, and she's been 8 times to see this movie. And I'm like, I don't need to see it 8 times, maybe twice. But it was and he had such a beautiful spirit. And it was all about love, and it was all about sharing and giving. And, of course, they tried to villainize him. And I'm glad that they didn't, put that stuff in the movie, because it just would have.
Well, there's a part 2, and I'm wondering how much of that's going to be in the movie. The part 2, I think what they really need to put in there is the den of vipers that he was in, and all the snakes that surrounded him in the latter part of his career, because that's what his downfall was. I saw it last night with my family on Amazon Prime, because it came out last night.
Really? On Amazon Prime already?
Streaming on several internet platforms. So my grandchildren, my son and his girlfriend, this was their first time seeing it. My second, I went to the movies to see it.
Right.
And my grandchildren really enjoyed it. They didn't see it at first because they thought they knew all about Michael Jackson and beat it. But once they saw, I kept insisting, you need to understand why this movie is going to be $1 billion, top all records ever made.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
they did. They got it.
Yeah. No, it is. It
Grandma
is.
was right there explaining why this is happening, why that happened. The hair, burned hair. That's just, I was just explaining the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My granddaughter took her younger brother, and they both had those red those are the bad jackets, and they took a picture. I thought it was so cute, you know, how
Yeah,
they.
revival happening in his music. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, what do you see as the most important solution for something that is in our midst? This Carmela, where a young man, 17 years old, is about to go to prison because he couldn't manage his anger
Mhm.
and because he didn't have the wisdom
Or
to
the-
avoid situation. What do you see as the most important elements we need to be teaching our youth, especially to prevent the prison scene?
Mhm. Well, we've mentioned it a couple times, the anger management, you know, really giving young people tools to deal with anger or things they don't understand, giving them tools that are not physical, you know, equipping them, helping them to understand how powerful they are as a spiritual being. You know, I've done little tests and things, and I won't even go into all of that because people say, "Oh, she's too woo woo," but just
Oh,
we,
you
we,
can do it here if you want. I believe
we
me.
are so powerful. I remember going through. I used to drive from Massachusetts to New York all the time, and would drive through Connecticut. And there was a toll booth like every 5 miles. You know, you just constant, and they were like a quarter each one. I'm like, well, why don't they just change this, have one, and charge you $3 at the end of it? And so I'm sitting at a toll booth saying, this is so ridiculous. And then I said, suppose I'm sitting in this line. Suppose when I get to it, the gate doesn't go up after I put the quarter in. How about the gate did not go up after I was like, dang it. I created that, because I was fussing about the tolls. And I said, just like I kept that arm from going up, we can do such powerful things, and it has to do with our vibration. There's a nice story. I don't know if you saw this in the book, but at one of my classes, it was an early morning class. I only had two guys who came, both black males. That doesn't matter. But one came in, he was excited about the class. He was ready to go. The other came in and he had an attitude. His lip is like, hanging to the floor because he's just mad, and the whole world has just done him wrong. And he was all through meditation, his foot is doing this, just going up and down. And so after meditation, I said, what is wrong? I was like, let's figure this out. He said, well, everyone in my pod, that's what they call their living environments. Everyone in my pod got they were called and they were able to bond out, and leave. And I was supposed to be on that list, and I was supposed to be bonded out. And I said, well, let's dissect this a little bit. I said, everything is energy and everything is vibration. I said, now you go in front of a judge, and the judge just had their coffee and they're ready. They're going through the names, and they're ready to go. They're in a good mood. And then you come in front of them and you clearly have an attitude. And I said, if you had gone in front of the judge and say still had that attitude, the judge would have said, just send him back to his cell. I can't be bothered. They just, did not want that energy around them. And so, he was nodding his head, and we talked about it, me and him and the other guy, for maybe 10 minutes. And they read his name they called his name over the loudspeaker, like 10 minutes into our discussion. And he jumped up and he had a big smile on his face. And I said, now you're ready to go see the judge. You weren't ready before. That's why your name wasn't called before. So many examples of stuff like that happening. And
Well,
once you teach that,
go ahead.
yeah, once you learn that, you can't unlearn that. I shared that story with my son, just a couple weeks ago, and he was sort of in between jobs, assignments, whatever. He had two sort of possible things that could have worked out. And I told him the story because when he came into my house and he was like that guy who came into my class, just the world is horrible, I just, everything's messed up. And, and so I told him that story. And by that afternoon, he called someone that he remembered, was in his industry. The guy offered him a position, and not only offered him a position, he said, send me your Cash App because I'm going to give you a before hire bonus so that you don't take those other two jobs. And I'm like, wow. So he called and thanked me for sharing that story because he did what he needed to do to change his vibration, think of other options, think of people that could support him. Voila, next thing he knew, he had a job that was paying higher than those other two options that he had. And it's like magic. It's like if you work it, it works. Yeah.
Well, that's what I love about your book. You bring in the holistic body, mind, spirit aspect. It has to be included in the solution if we're going to make changes, I believe, because it's like the law of the universe is reaping and sowing.
Yeah.
And so if we're out here complaining and angry and bitter and stealing and robbing out, what do you expect? People don't think about the consequences of those thoughts even.
Mm-hmm.
If we can help people remind themselves about every action, every thought, every belief I have is going to come back to me in some form or another, then I think that's how we can prevent more young men going to prison like this, like what's
Absolutely.
happening.
Just the thought of giving as opposed to getting. I ended up at the jail because I went to volunteer. I had read in the newspaper that they started this program, a pilot program for the female inmates in the DeKalb Sheriff's Office. And I said, oh, I should go offer to do one of my workshops for the women. So I did. I called them up and we set up an appointment. And by the end of that appointment, they said, we have a little program and a little bit of funds, and we can actually hire you to come in a couple days a week to do your workshop. Would you like to do that? Absolutely. It's like, and I mean, I went with all intentions to just volunteer. And the next thing I knew, 3 or 4 months later, I'm invited to run the whole program.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a blessing.
Yeah, it was because I wasn't thinking of the fact that I had left CDC a little bit before that and didn't have a major plan, follow-up plan.
Faith, your plan was faith, huh?
It really was. It
Yeah.
really was. And I felt like I'm smart enough to hire myself. And those are the kind of seeds that my parents had planted, although they probably would not have agreed with the fact that I left a 6-figure job to find myself. But it worked. It worked. It absolutely worked, and that has springboarded to other things. So, I've been focusing on. I want to do these workshops with sheriff's offices and train the detention officers or whoever's in charge of educational programs. But you brought me back to, we got to do this with people working with the children because that's real important. I can't just stay up here and deal with them on the other end. We really have to do the prevention. And I have typed up and written up and put PowerPoints together for all different ages and all different groups. So it's really easy to do that. And, and I've got the books for each segment. In fact, this one is Healthy Haiku 3, How to Fight Childhood Obesity, one poem at a time. And this has all the science about nutrition and health and, obesity and what happens to children once they become obese, how they, socially ostracized and kind of left at. Think about when we played games as children and we had to choose kids to be on our team, baseball, kickball, whatever. And so the kids who were overweight got chosen last. It's like, well, I guess we have to have so and so, and it's just, kids are cruel. Kids can be cruel like that. But the book has a lot of really good information about how to stay healthy and how to facilitate children staying healthy and making healthy choices. It's got all the poetry and stuff in there too.
We have a caller that, first of all, thank you. Aaliyah is commenting. She says, I'm listening. Thank you, Aaliyah, for listening.
Yeah, that's my buddy. Yeah, good friend.
Oh, that's a good friend of yours?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you for tuning in. And Mama AZ is on the line. She's called in. Let me see if I can. Mama AZ, your mic, I think your mic is open. Did you have a comment or a question for our guest?
All of it. I'm just. Can you hear me? I went outside. There was so much noise. Can you hear me?
Yes, she can. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to my tree. I am so grateful, Dr. V, and for your guest, for confirming some things about all of this. Yesterday was such a powerful point day. Me listening to the Creator, and it got me up and out, and it was just like meeting these people that the Creator had hooked up for me to meet. And now I'm listening to you, sisters, and you are giving me confirmations about today. We had a prayer meeting earlier today, and yesterday it was the same. And I won't share all of that right now, but I just want to say thank us. Thank you so much. And I would like to connect with you, sister, privately, because I need to, and Dr. V, I need to get some information as far as what direction with this mission that I need to go. And that's it for now. I appreciate you so much. Oh my God, I love you.
Thank you so much. That is wonderful. Can I give out contact information?
Yes, and I'm going to pull up. I've got your website. I'm going to pull that up. So we can share that. Are your books available on the website?
I think the book refers you to Amazon right now. But I'm also the first ones that I did for the children were those I have to put up on Amazon, so they can contact me. And there's a way to contact me on the website, Sankofa Institute for Wellness.com.
Okay, and this is the website, and where on here do they contact you?
That's not the website is Sankofa Institute for Wellness.com.
Right.
So if they go to the website, they'll see contact information for me and for my husband. But I can also put a number up there if that's okay.
Okay, Connect, is that under Connect?
Yes. I think basically they send their information and then I reach back to them. Let's talk about that's a good place to do.
Okay, so if you go up to
and this
go to more
for us.
More up here and says Connect.
Connect. Yep. That's a good way. I promise to get back to you. People. This is a new site for us. I don't mean to be vague, but I've been canceling out some of the other ways I had for people to reach us. There's my book.
And that's where you can get the book is right here. Get on Amazon.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'll send this to my friend because oh wait, she's got to order it from another source. So, but I'll send this website to her because her son is really talented. The one who's incarcerated now, he's very talented. He's writing a comic book. He has sent me several copies of his comic book that he's writing.
Oh, really? Wow.
And this young man, he's so intelligent. His situation is so interesting. He was originally incarcerated for rape. Actually, I don't think I'm supposed to say that on YouTube. Anyway, grape, whatever we do. Mm-hmm. And then he came out and did it again. So
Wow.
he's back in there for the same crime,
That's horrible. Yeah.
and it just blows. And my friend was devastated for a while because, as a mother,
Mm-hmm.
just so the worst thing that you imagine happening to your life is your child. Her only no, she has two other children by a second marriage though,
Okay. But her
um,
oldest child, probably.
and that's her old. And he's the one I knew when he was 5 years old. We were in college together, and I used to babysit for him
Wow.
while she would go to class. And he was just the sweetest little boy. But
Wow.
his relationship with his mother at a young age was not that great. So he sent me letters about that experience, and that's where I really got a lot of insight
Mm-hmm.
on why he was in prison. Not why he was in prison, but why he had so much anger.
So much anger. Well, the
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to say is you were talking about where she could get it. She can reach out to me because I have boxes of these books. I can sign it for her and send it to her. So that's another way that
Okay.
that she can do that. Let me
How,
give you. Let me put up a number in case people want to reach me that way. Is that okay?
okay. Go ahead.
Okay, 470-861-7266. And they can call me directly, and I'd be happy to autograph and send them a copy of the book as well. Same price as what they pay online.
Okay. Yeah. After writing so many books, the first my dad's book. This guy, I wrote his book several years ago, and it took me 6 years to write that book. But I sold more copies of his book than any of the books I've ever written because I did my own marketing. I
Mm-hmm.
went I went to a high school because he was a athlete and played football. Okay, there's the phone number in the comments for those of you who are here. I went to a high school. I went to all the high schools in my area where I was at the time. Present with a flyer from my dad's book,
Mm-hmm.
presenting his history and basic. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to get presenting his history and all that. And I think out of all the high schools, one high school bought 25 books.
Wow.
And
That,
then they invited me to be the speaker for the day or to join the seniors that day, to spend all day with them. And they invited the seniors to come every class to she made copies of certain pages of my book and
mm-hmm.
gave them out to the students to ask questions. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so grateful for that experience. And I just couldn't do that with any other. Well, actually, no. My first book, I was invited to a senior citizen home, and I had like maybe 20 people in the audience, and all of them bought a book. So, and I had a whole box in my car.
Mm-hmm.
Writing books, I appreciate authors who are still continuing that artistic work because it is a journey of not just learning for yourself, but blessing other people.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I applaud you for being the author you are and sharing your story and continuing to do this work that we're here to do for a long. We're so needed right now to share this consciousness raising lesson.
It is. I'm one last point because I know you focus a lot on the children and what we need to do. I've actually started a children's series of healthy haiku, like healthy haiku kids, and I'm gonna invite my grandchildren to help me to write that and to
Oh,
come
wow.
up with the. Yeah, I've actually started drafted it already, but I think it's important because by inviting them, it's also teaching them, and then they can share with their friends what about the healthy. The first book is about healthy eating, and every time they come over here, it's like a science lesson, and they have fun. They ask me for apples. They don't ask me for potato chips, because they know I'm not going to have that for them. So they ask for the apples, and bananas, things like that. And it's great. And we go outside and look at the animals and things.
So do their parents promote healthy eating and healthy lifestyle like that?
Not to the extent I do,
Yeah.
but I'm not trying to make anybody.
You have that challenge for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's that's I've kind of taken that on as my role to share with them. And my older granddaughter, she's going to be 20 next month. I always send her stuff from online, Facebook and stuff, just so that whatever I have, she has it too, and she can choose to do or not do, follow or not follow advice, but at least I want her to have the information, right?
Yeah, because if they don't hear it from us, their peers are going to, their friends are going to influence them. So we are definitely seed planters for this younger generation, and we are assigned, I think, at this point, to teach them also to call on their ancestors.
Yes.
That's a big one for me right now, is to remind people. I had a hawk sitting on my roof the other day when I did my show. And then the next morning, he was back with another prey eating up on my roof. I'm like, what? And then yesterday, I'm across the yard from my son's house, and the hawk is up there on my son's chimney. So that's 3 visits from a hawk. Sister, I grabbed this. This is the book that I use to determine what these animals are saying.
Animals Speak. I've seen that book. That's a good one.
I grabbed that book again to remind myself that hawk is definitely sending me a message. And I want to encourage people, young people especially, don't ignore those messages.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're going to end up in prison, because you've been the creator. My feeling is the creator is always sending us little love messages, and
all the time, and we can either listen in and follow or ignore. I got a great story. I know you're ready to probably.
No, take your time. I'm in no hurry.
Well, I went to Jamaica with a good friend, my husband, and another friend. This was last year or 2 years ago. Time goes so fast. Maybe 2 years ago.
I know time flies.
But we were looking at opportunities to set up, wellness center, a wellness center in Jamaica, and maybe the first one of several. My mom was from Jamaica. My dad is half Jamaican, so I've been going back and forth all my life. And so I really wanted to help her with this project. So we're driving around the island, and we got twice this happened. One night we were on a road, and the road was kind of deserted, and the road was cracked a little bit, and we were really kind of negotiating, how to get back to the main road, and why do we take this side road? But anyway, we got through. The next night, the same thing happened, but worse. We were up in the mountains, and the road was really cracked, like from a recent hurricane or something. And we were in a minivan. Those sit really low. What are you seeing?
The hawk is back.
That's because you were just talking about it. Woohoo! That is exciting.
I usually have my door closed, but I open my door because he's sitting looking at me. It's like, what the? I'm gonna take a picture because
I love it. I love it.
Believe it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So the story is we're up there, and the road is really cracked, and we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? It's like having woods on both sides of us, and we're in this cracked road in the middle of nowhere, up in the mountains. And all of us are just praying. Really just silently praying to ourselves. It's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Calling on the ancestors. And all of a sudden, we see this light coming from the distance behind us. And I'm going to try to do this without getting emotional, because it's such a powerful story. This guy comes on a motorbike, and he comes up to us and he says, you guys look like you need some help. We're like, yeah. And he says, okay, follow me. And so he come a little bit to the right here, and then go this way and come a little bit over to the left. And he did this for like 2 miles and got us back to the main road. And so we asked him, it's like, where did you come from and why did you come? He said,
where did you come from? Hey, I knew, won't you take me there right away?
Listen to his answer. He said, I was playing dominoes or something with his friends, And all of a sudden he got a message that somebody needed help. He got up, left them. They said, "No, man, no, stay, stay." And he said, "No, no, no. I have to go. I have to go see what it is." And he's telling us the story, and the tears are coming down. He left his comfort zone to come up and find what Spirit told him something was going on, that people needed him. He didn't, not even as deep as people needed him. He just knew something was happening. And it was like it was a miracle. And we were all sitting there praying to our ancestors and hoping that this would have a good ending. And it had a wonderful ending. And, we all had a little cash on us here. Take this, take this. It's like we couldn't find enough to thank him. But he was just so humble. And he just drove off. And that was that. But in terms of listening to Spirit, had he not listened to Spirit, we probably would have sat up there in the dark all night and prayed and cried and tried to figure out what we were going to do.
Yeah.
He was told, go. You need to go and do. And he did. He listened. And I thought that was such a beautiful, beautiful.
There have been that is such an amazing story, but that is so common when you are trusting in your invisible forces to help you out of situations. Yeah. That's very common. I remember my son was driving my Volvo. I was teaching him how to drive. He drove into a ditch.
No.
And I'm like, oh, help. And around the corner came a tow truck. I didn't have to call the tow truck. It just showed up. I'm like, oh, here we are.
He just appeared because you needed him.
Another time we were in a serious car accident in Chicago, my whole family. My husband was driving. I was in the front, my two sons in the back, and my husband slid. It was icy, crowded, slid into a thick concrete pole, had a head injury. And here, what's coming up the other lane? An ambulance.
Wow.
The ambulance just shows up, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why he was there or not. He just showed up
because he was supposed to. Yeah.
When you're in tune to, and I do this every morning. I thank my ancestors, my angels, all my messengers for their help for the day. Today's going to be my peaceful day from the Buddhists. I'm like bringing everybody in first thing in the morning, and that's what that hawk just flew away. He was sitting up there staring at me for a while. Then he turned around, like, see my profile, and I'm like,
he was enjoying your energy. That's what it was. You're putting out positive energy. He's like, I need some of this.
So we want to remind our friends and family out there, and Mama AZ especially knows what I'm talking about. She's still on the line. That's how we roll. That's how we roll. We always expecting the people to think, our ancestors to show up in any form. I have two cardinals that fly by here every day, and I'm wondering if it's my old boyfriend or something. Go ahead, Mama AZ. Did you have a comment?
Yes, I do, and thank you so much for sharing that, Hawk. Do you know what the time it was? Family, you must pay attention to the time that these medicine messengers come into your eyeballs. I mean, meaning your presence. The time is very important.
So that was about, you know what? That was about 8:8. It's 8:20 now. So it was about 8:18, 16, 7. So that was an 8.
Okay, that is abundance. That is build and destroy in infinity. When you turn an 8 on the side, and it's so much more to that. And to me, if that was an 8, that was Reverend Allen communicating with you, just like the hawk. I mean, the crow was communicating to me about you and doing the show tomorrow about Alan. And Dr. Lee, you have no idea of how hooked up you are to Alan. And he is really, and Michael Jackson and his grandmother. I appreciate both of you sisters today. because you give me strength. You help me to keep my balls aired up, to keep on stroking, whether I feel like it or not. So people, pay attention when the little creatures show up on your path, and keep in mind, write the time down. It's valuable. It's valuable. Thank us. Thank you, Dr. V. Thank you, sister.
Thank you. I love your words of wisdom. We so appreciate you sharing with us.
Yeah, thank us. Thank us. We say thank us, united spirits, united souls. And so, because it is a collective unity that is going to change this world. If we don't stop this division, that's why every time something comes up like this, Camilla, whatever his name is, so I take a sigh. Oh, here we go again. You know, they do this intentionally, dividing us to interfere with the unity, the work, the peace work that we're trying to do. So just love to just dive right in and divide everything. Yeah, that cracker, this, blah, blah, blah. So, no, here we go with 2 steps forward and 3 steps back.
Yep. It's like we've got to be bigger than that. You know,
so I'm glad you're doing a podcast. How often you and your husband do like?
We're doing it like every other week on Tuesdays. So we schedule it. We record it on a Saturday, and then I like doing that because then I can respond to questions and interact with people while they're watching. Either way works, but it's Progressively Yours Health and Wellness Podcast. Also on YouTube. You can look us up on YouTube and see some of our past shows. We've always had really good folks who are dealing with health and wellness from some perspective. Then we've also had just people who are creative and loving and kind people contributing to the world with their life's work.
Is that your YouTube channel, Progressively Yours?
Yours Health and Wellness Podcast. I think last time I was talking to you, and it shows up as Progressively Yours, and you're like, oh, Progressively is making a comment again. I'm like, this is Imani. So yeah, Progressively Yours Health and Wellness Podcast. And we've had some really good shows over the years. We started in like 2022. We took most of 2025 off, so we're really just getting back. My husband had some health challenges, unfortunately, so we have not been as consistent over the past few weeks, but we're getting back. We're going to the ocean this weekend, just so that he can just relax and get that good ocean water.
I really miss that. I had my significant other lived near 15 minutes from, less than that, from the beach, and then he passed away. So I don't get there as often, but my grandson loves the beach. So he's reminding his dad, I want to go to the beach. So we're going to go this month, I think.
Oh, good. I'll take pictures. I'll send them to you.
Yay. I used to, what I love about the beach is the sunrise. Oh my goodness! It's on, because it's on the East Coast. Like I would go some amazing sunrises.
Yes.
And I would just go, and I'd leave him, my partner at the time. He didn't really want to get up that early, so I'll see you later.
Yeah, a good friend of mine used to live on the beach right in what was it? It was in Florida, but she was right on the beach, and I remember I was sleeping on their couch. And it was like, I don't know, 4:30 in the morning. She says, come on, Imani, come on. We got to go see the sunrise. I'm like, because we'd been up talking all night, right? And so we get up and go out there, and then you see the sun coming over the water. It was like, wow. I said, now I see why you get up to see the sunrise. It's so amazing.
Yeah. As a single woman, I did a video one sunrise. I said, this is so orgasmic.
Yes.
Between the energy of the sun, the crystals of the sand, the clouds, the wind, and the water, my body just was so totally consumed with that energy, and it was just And that's why I keep wanting to go back to it. I need a condo on the beach somewhere. Someday, that's my future.
I like that
A
idea.
condo on the beach.
Definitely. I'll
'Cause
send you pictures.
as long as I'm in Florida, you got to take advantage of the sunrises here.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm glad you reminded me because I on vacation. You're just so tempted to sleep in. I'm gonna say, no, we got to go out and see the sunrise.
Yeah, at least once if you're there one time at least.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Uh,
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
So, any final words for us as far as we're all doing time. I keep thinking that in incarceration, how do you advise us to stay out of prison of the mind of the slavery that so many people are in right now with the matrix, and because that's kind of a prison that people are in right now, is not being able to come out of materialism and everything when they need to monetize everything. What's your advice on helping people make the shift?
Well, we spoke about it, and it really goes back to the namaste. The divine in me sees the divine in you. One of my favorite poems that I've tried to stick in each one of my books is called "When Spirits Touch." And when I wrote this, I was thinking about an older elderly woman I had seen in a grocery store who just looked up and smiled, and I smiled back at her, and it was just such a beautiful moment. And can I share? It's a short
Oh,
poem.
please, please, please.
It's called "When Spirits Touch." When spirits touch, there's a spark that ignites the soul out of control. When spirits touch, there's a warmth and a glow and an inside smile. Cartwheels of the heart, jumpstart of adrenaline. When spirits touch, no words of validation are needed to speak what the heart has long since connected as real, whether for a moment or for a lifetime. It inevitably lasts for a lifetime because when spirits touch, there's no taking it back. Namaste.
Namaste. And that's the spirit of the sun touch, and whether it's the spirit of children or hawks, like
Yes, or
into
the ancestors, or
yeah, ancestors. That I think one of the things we could teach children more about is getting in touch with their soul energy, their
yes.
spiritual side,
Mm-hmm.
moving forward, and that's how they come out of this ignorance of division and race and all that stuff. Is that
Mm-hmm.
we're all souls walking around here in these spaces, in these clothing.
We're spirits having a human experience. You
That's
know,
right. That's
we need
right.
to take care of these bodies and our minds and all of it together. So thank you
Yes.
so much. This has been an amazing discussion.
Yes, thank us and namaste. And I also, my friend, I've been in the Kundalini yoga community for a little bit, so we say Satnam. She always says that when I would say namaste, she says Satnam. So
Sadhana,
I greet all my yogi friends with Satnam and namaste, and then of course aho to
aho,
my Native American brothers and sisters, and ashe ashe. And of course, shalom, shalom, shalom.
shalom.
And let's see, we got a question here. What are the 4 words to diffuse an argument from Aliyah?
Oh, well, maybe that's the ho'oponopono she's speaking about. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me and thank you. And those are that's the ho'oponopono from the ancient Hawaiian wisdom and practices. And a great story. I won't go deep into it, but I was in Hawaii one time, and I saw this. I was in a museum. There was a big mural. Think of like the size of a gym, and the mural had the history of the people of Hawaii just based on pictures of who was there. So on the very left side of this mural were the original Hawaiians, and they were jet black Africans. And I made sure to share that story with a lot of my students in the jail too, because I wanted them to know Ho'oponopono was practiced by people who looked like us. We again, the whole fractionalizing and having people think that, oh, well, those are Hawaiians. And the healthy haiku is Japanese. It's like, no, we're all connected. And we had an African presence, and we were all originally from Africa. So that's what the original people were.
And another, and she says, thank you. Another aspect of that, I've been to Hawaii 4 times because, I was married to this man who was working for a major airline. Mm-hmm. We were on the Big Island, and they call the volcano there Pele, Pele. Mm-hmm. When I heard that, I'm like, Pele, that's Hebrew. That's Hebrew for awesome, wonderful. And I'm like, okay, this place is so deep in heritage and culture of different places that I just imagine the cultural experience there years ago was, as you say, a lot of dark skinned natives, and they still there. It's like Australia. Look at the Aboriginals there, and they migrated up South America. So yeah, that's why it just doesn't pay to be ignorant about race. It just doesn't.
It doesn't. And I had a friend, a schoolmate, many years ago in Boston, and she was from Australia, and she said, I said something about the Aborigines, and she liked to bless me out, and I'm like, what did I say? She says, calling us Aborigines is like calling us the N-word. And I said, ooh, really? I said, well, what do you prefer to be called? She said, we are the Black people of Australia. And I said, wow. What a word. I said, I will share that every time I hear someone use that term. She was very serious about it too. And I was like, okay, terms get put on populations that don't necessarily have the best connotation. Aboriginal, really? And I'm thinking of below original, but she said, we are the Black people of Australia. I was like, okay.
Well, let's just say original Blacks of Australia. That's better than, I don't know where Aboriginals came from, but I like the original part. Like, just like with us here in America, we are the original Native Americans.
Indigenous people.
Indigenous maybe is better for Australia.
Yes.
Mom AZ, you had a comment? No? Okay.
Like Mama AZ.
I do have I had it on mute. I'm going to share this with some other people. And sister, thank us for the wealth of information that you have shared. It's so much that I need to say to you and Dr. V, but not over this line. This is just putting the icing on the cheesecake because of what happened yesterday in a good way. And what's the energy of today, Dr. V?
It's an 8. Today's an 8.
Today's an 8 day.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank us.
June 10th, 26th. Tomorrow, AZ and I are going to do a show on her journey with A.A. Allen and why we need to be aware of the ancestors who are speaking to us today.
Yes.
And how we can improve, protect our lives, so many things that she's been experiencing. So we're going to do that tomorrow. I don't know about the yet, but I'll send out a flyer tomorrow.
Okay. I look forward to watching that show. I hope I have the time to do that.
All right. Thank us. I love you, sister. And I hope your husband's doing better.
He is. He's healing. He's healing. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Octavia says is 8. Okay, Octavia is 8.
That's Alia. She's saying that she is an 8.
Okay. Hallelujah. We're all one big family.
Hey. Thank you, Alia. Everybody else.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow evening for more conversation to uplift us and raise our consciousness. We got to do that now.
Thank you so much.
Shalom.
Who's 무시 와고 싸우가문 The fear 무대 가물리에 칼렛눈 아끼끼 그분 주고 파트셋 I knew get a was look at my good ass I knew I went for good pop a leg I knew I got but you I got that I knew could do it I could tradition yet I knew could do it la mother was part of that I do be pop of that the guy was I knew but now it's not super do I got no horse I could put it in hot yeah I could put it in hot